should probably have an intro, but I don't.
Little like
Little
theme
well,
song.
hi everyone. Sorry if this is going to be awkward.
It's okay. I'm ready for it.
But okay, hello everyone. We have Genevieve Santos here for our first Artist Talk podcast. All right. So we're here to kind of get to know you a little bit. We've talked about things a lot, like random things, but I feel like I don't really know.
Not like history, background stuff.
Yeah. So I guess so let's start with kind of like the childhood, right? And in terms of in terms of art, like, do you remember the first time you like picked up a pencil or a drawing tool or a crayon?
I don't remember it, but I've been told that it was like when I was 2 or something when I like started drawing, and once I started, I just never stopped. So, but I do remember like I was obsessed with cartoons, but I watched cartoons in like a really, for everybody else, just kind of ruined it. I would pause it and like trace, because I was fascinated by like how are they move, like these pictures are moving, like, and so I would like trace each frame to kind of understand it and like make my own flip books that way.
So you made the animated flip books?
Yeah, because I would just
cool.
like kind of dazzled by it. So yeah, I would watch things frame by frame.
What was your favorite cartoon?
I love The Lion King.
Oh, nice. So if you were well, okay, so that was what art making was like when you were little, or do you think that you mostly use pencil, crayons, or?
I think I'm most comfortable with pencil. There was a period where, like in high school or middle school, it's like I'm only going to use pen, no erasing. Yeah, I feel like every artist maybe goes through that phase, right? And which is very formative and wonderful. But I do love pencil just because I like, not because I can erase it, but I like that I can control how like heavy the lines are, and if I use a pen to draw, it's pens that are running out of ink.
Oh, like the roller balls?
No, I use like the micron pens, but it's my favorite when they're like kind of running out of ink. So the lines are like inconsistent. Yeah.
That's cool. Did you have like, aside from the flip books, did you have other projects?
I think I made like my own like comic books. My sister was really into Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball, so I would like draw pictures for her. But yeah, I made my own comic books and definitely made my own flip books.
I have like on one of my questions that if you were like paint a picture of you as a child making art, like what the painting would look like.
Oh,
it's because I was thinking of that painting you have of the one with Lola, with that arched frame and the Lola outside with chickens. I was like, that really kind of like takes you to a scene of like a childhood, scene. And so I guess I kind of want you to take us to like a scene of like what it was like I'm sure people were super what is it, like supportive and like made you draw, like I don't know if they were like draw me this, draw me that, or even at school if you're like the go-to like artist to like we're doing a group project, Jen's gonna draw.
So, were you that person too?
Yes. So I guess
I loved it though. It was like the easiest job. I'm
yes.
Like, great, I don't have to write anything.
Totally. Or like read this book and do research. It's like, there other people are in charge of that, and then they just like
you do the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm like, great.
Totally.
That's how I'll contribute. Oh yeah, I actually do have. I always painted, like drew on the floor, like on my stomach, like on the ground, and in general, I mean, it's still how I paint and draw and work on things. Like it's exactly the same. Like there's like a mess around me. I'm like surrounded by like everything I need, and then there's like one clear circle in the center, and that's where I work.
So yeah. Before we talk about college, let's talk a little bit about, I guess, how elementary school was like and high school.
Yeah, it was kind of touching back on like what you said earlier, like being like the artist of the class. So in elementary school, it was between me and this other guy. We were both like the best artists in the class. I mean, we had the highest grades, so we were like kind of in competition. He was also Filipino. But then, and then in high school, my friend Victoria, who you met last week or 2 weeks ago, and I were, we got the senior most for like most artistic. So I guess I've always had like the reputation.
Is that a yearbook photo?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we have like paint on our faces, and I'm like holding a paintbrush in my mouth.
That's cool.
She has like a beret. Very, yeah, silly.
Did you do art in college?
So I don't, maybe because I was scared of like being a full-time artist, but I was like, I'm not going to be a full-time artist like when I grow up. No, that's not practical. Like I had this mindset when I was in high school, and so I did not apply to any art schools. I like put together an application for Cal Arts. Everything was ready to go, and I just never sent it in. And like Cal Arts had at the time had like the reputation of like if you want to work at Disney as like a 2D animator or an animator in general, like that's the school that you go to. They just like pump out artists for the purpose of like working at Disney. But I don't know, I didn't want to do that. So I was actually a bio major originally. Yeah, so I entered USC as a bio major, and then I sat in on orientation, like them telling us like all the classes, this is what your schedule will be, and I like freaked out because it sounded so uninteresting to me.
Why did you pick bio?
I really enjoyed biology in high school. Yeah.
Well, with that major, what did you see yourself being like after college?
Oh, just like I like the idea of like working on a lab and like testing things. Yeah, yeah. Okay. The introvert indoor kid. Yeah.
Just quietly like doing like getting grants and doing research.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It just seemed interesting to me. Yeah, and then I realized like I didn't want to do that. And during lunch, I sat at a table with a bunch of people who were all communication majors. They're super chill, very nice. And I was like, yeah, your major sounds cool. So we can just keep hanging out.
Were they already sophomore or like?
This was like orientation.
Oh, so all other freshmen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so they told me a little bit about the major, and then I looked it up, and it actually had very low unit requirements. So it gave me the freedom to take other classes. And so I minored in 3D animation actually that's a lie. I minored in regular animation, and then I tried to double minor in 3D animation because I was like, this is lucrative, this is where the business is going. If I want to work in animation, I should know how to do this. And I was one class away from completing the minor. I hated it so much. And I was like, if I can't do this, like
one class away.
What
was a class?
It was, I don't know, it was like you had to do your final project in 3D animation or whatever. And
is that like stop motion?
Or no, like computer animation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And I just like, I realized like if I hate it now, I'm going to not want to do this for the rest of my life, right? As a profession.
So, and the regular animation one is just drawing.
It was, so I went to USC, and like their film school has like a wonderful reputation. And so the animation program at the time was grounded in film studies. So it was I took a lot of film classes, like general film classes. So it was more like teaching you to be a filmmaker, and then your voice was in animation. So my favorite class was like experimental animation. So learning every week we used a different I don't know, medium to animate. So used our bodies, like pixelation, we used clay, we used like cut paper, we drew directly onto the film and then developed it. It was
That's so
fun.
Yeah. I took an experimental photography class, and I think like after I took that first class, I kept on trying to take it like every yeah. Experimental stuff is
fun. It'll be there the whole time.
Thank you. Well, I had a follow up to that, but I can't remember. So how did you say? And what was it like? Oh no, my follow up was like, so did you just like did you watch movies and go through like, you know, Stanley Kubrick makes like these types of like studied the famous directors and how they made movies. Oh,
it was super fun. We took this one class. Do you remember Leonard Maltin? He was like a film critic.
No.
He's this like film critic, but he taught a class, and it was really cool because we got to watch movies before they came out in theaters, and he would invite someone to like come in to talk about it, like a producer, an actor, like someone, a sound person, whatever. And for like 1 week, one of the weeks, like he does it for every class, like every semester, like there's one like older movie, and it was Angela Lansbury was the guest.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
And then after, we watch the film all together. He asks her like questions, and then we do a Q&A. And then someone asked her like, "Can you sing the song from Beauty and the Beast?" It was so sweet. Her voice cracked a little.
She did.
She did. Yeah.
Oh my God.
She just sang like the chorus, but yeah, it was really
That's amazing.
sweet. Yeah. And then I didn't go, but like for the final class, like, or we took the final, and then he was like, "There's going to be a movie after, and I think you should really. It's a really compelling movie about global warming." And then and I didn't stay, but I found out later it was that Al Gore movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then was Al Gore there? Or?
I don't know if he was there. He might have been, but yeah, kind of crazy.
You know what? When you said that, I was like, I wonder if this is around that time. If it was that movie.
Yeah.
So my next question is, if you had a chance to, like, maybe change anything in college, like maybe like change. I mean, you did change your major. You did what you wanted to do. You kind of had the what is it? The presence of mind, or
the foresight, I guess.
Yeah,
that I wouldn't.
But so, would you like say like have taken, I don't know, a different class or before you left? Or
I guess I feel like my schedule was really full. Like I took 22 units every semester.
Oh my God.
And I was an RA, and then I did like I was the art director of the daily newspaper. So like I had an internship. Like I did a lot. So like I don't know what more I could have done. Maybe join more clubs. I don't think I would have changed anything in terms of like the classes that I took. I took a lot of like in the communication major, I took a lot of gender studies classes, which were really interesting to me. Perhaps like if I just connected with my professors a little bit more.
Which brings me to my next question. If you had, usually college is like a time where like you connect with a professor and kind of they become your mentor, or like kind of, did you have?
I didn't have that. I mean, no. I guess I there was one like because I was an RA, so I would put together like events and whatnot, and so there were like 3 other women RAs in my building, and we all chose a female like professor, perhaps in the gender studies class, and we had like a girls' night where like we invited all the women who lived in the building, and just to talk about gender and all of that. And
what year was this?
2005. Yeah, and it was just really wonderful. So I guess I connected with that professor. She gave me a wink when I was at graduation. She was on stage.
Cool. Was there like maybe an animator, an artist you liked who was teaching a class like at a different college or somewhere else that like you wish you had taken a class under? Or
no, I really love the experimental animation class. Yeah, at the time the animation program was very small, and the year after I graduated, they turned it into a major, and I was so mad.
Why? What's the difference?
I only minored in it.
But you would have wanted to major? Or
I guess, yeah, just to have like a more, so like the thing that I thought was weird about the animation minor, like I never had to take a figure drawing class, which I thought was so weird. Like drawing classes were not part of the requirements.
I see.
Yeah.
But the film one really connected with
the film was interesting. Yeah. And I'll never, be able to do that, but like I know like sound editing and just I don't know, all of that stuff because of that experience, and I mean it was kind of cool. Yeah.
Okay, so well, during your senior year, did you kind of already have an idea of what you're going to be doing after college?
Yeah, so the wonderful thing about my school was that they really ingrained how important networking was. Mm-hmm. And so there were always like schmoozy networking events for like the students to find an internship, to meet someone in the industry, in the business. They like really made it so that it wasn't anything scary or uncomfortable. And if that's something you wanted to do, there were always opportunities. So that was really nice. One thing that I wish that I did. So we had this like career development center, and you could do like a mock interview with someone there, and they'll record it and then go over it with you after. And like I was too scared to do that, but I kind of wish that I did, because that would have been like actually really helpful just in general. Mm-hmm. Just to have like that.
I mean, not like you're working for anybody.
Right. But to like have that self-awareness, I guess, about how you present yourself. Like I had one of my requirements for the comm major was to take a public speaking class, and that was just incredibly helpful. Yeah. So any of those situations where I had to like speak. But anyway, so I found an internship through one of those like schmooze fests with New Line Cinema, and so it was my senior year, and I was like commuting from SC to like West Hollywood once a week. And
wait a minute, how far is that?
Oh, it's like across town, across LA. Okay. Yeah. So, but it was a paid internship, and then from there, like my boss at the time, she had like a bigger boss, so she ended up leaving, and then I became the person who trained the next person to come in to like, because I knew her job basically, and then that person, the new person, couldn't handle it because the big boss is kind of she's like the Devil Wears Prada.
Oh
yeah. But she liked me, thankfully, and so I ended up taking that job. So yeah, I became I took my boss's job basically. I was an intern. Yeah, so I ended up working at New Line Cinema in like the print services department. So like oversaw like from concept to like it actually like a billboard being like on the side of the highway or something like that. So like working with the talent, working with legal, working with like the MPAA to get the approvals for this and that. The printers,
That's amazing.
So
did you have to do kind of like some art direction too with the talent?
No, I was too scared for that, but I would hear it like Vince Vaughn being like super like conscientious about his chins. Yeah, like he was very lots of airbrushing. My first film was Wedding Crashers. Yeah. And I remember I hadn't seen it yet, and I had to like scroll through all the stills to find because like we killed it the opening weekend. I had to find like a still for the ad to put in like Variety and the Hollywood Reporter and everything. And then I saw like, oh, Will Ferrell's in this movie, and like my boss was like, oh no, you haven't seen it yet. That was supposed to be like the big surprise cameo. Like, it's okay, it's fine. But yeah, Wedding Crashers was my first movie. Yeah.
Well, were there other ones that were kind of pretty exciting?
I remember we did the Tenacious D movie, and like Jack Black like walked by my office. I remember it was my birthday. He walked by my office and he like winked at me, and I'm like,
that's pretty cool.
That was great. Yeah. And then because I was still like kind of like assistant level, the assistants got to work the movie premieres. Oh. So just like
the red carpet stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. But I got, it was a great way to get a lot of like food and free drinks.
Oh,
yeah.
Free drinks.
And then just like see the celebrities there.
Did you get to dress up too? And
you just wear like a regular dress, but like there's some pictures in like, I think it's Getty Images, and so like I'm in the back, like behind like the step and repeat, and there's like Harold and Kumar, and there's me in the background.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious. How was that transition from what you're doing now?
Oh, so I worked on New Line for like 2 years, and then but throughout me working at New Line, I would take art classes still. Like I would drive across town, like trying to like rush to take a figure drawing class. So it was pretty consistent. Like I would take at least a figure drawing class once a week. And then I even like enrolled in like character design classes or something like that. So it was always something I was actively pursuing. And then New Line was absorbed by Warner Brothers, and so everyone was like essentially laid off. So I was part of the transition team, which meant that I got double pay for 2 months, 2 or 3 months. And then it was really depressing just seeing like everyone leave, like a mass exodus, like an entire floor gone 1 week. And then it just became like just working amongst ghosts. And then I had severance. So I had like a very sweet like financial cushion. And then I realized like, art is something that I do actually want to pursue. And if I'm going to pursue it, now's the best time because I don't have to financially worry about it. Yeah.
When you were at New Line, did you see yourself doing that job for a while, like as a career?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I would have kept doing it. I would have like moved up, like, and stayed in film advertising. If I hadn't been like pushed out, like forced out, basically, I would have still been doing it. I don't think I was ever like brave enough to take the plunge. So whenever people tell me like, I quit my job and now I'm a full-time artist, I'm like, that's incredible. I couldn't have been able to do that. I wasn't able to do that. I had to be pushed out.
Do you sometimes look back and like, oh, I wonder what it's like if I had stayed, like what it would have been like, and if I wasn't doing this and I had stayed? Or are you kind of like, this is a dream?
Oh, I think about it and I'm like, yeah, right. I don't want to do that at all. Like, I'm really, really happy with my decision. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a good feeling.
Okay, so we kind of, how did Le Petit Elefant, how did you think of it? Like, why did you think of that name? Like, how did you start the whole thing? And I mean, I guess at what age were you when you were?
So I was 23 when I started my business. 23, 24. I started dating Kevin at the time. Yeah. And then, so Le Petit Elefant is, I love the Le Petit Prince. It's one of my favorite books. And then elephants are my favorite animal. And then I made it like French and it's misspelled intentionally because my name is Genevieve, which is a French name. I don't speak any French. So I've pissed off a lot of French people who like,
really?
Yeah, they're like, this is not how you spell it. Like, I know.
When was the first time you went to France?
So
I mean, this is like out of point, but I was just curious.
After I graduated from college, I did the whole like, oh, all of my relatives have given me so much money. I'm gonna splurge and just go to Europe for like 6 weeks. So
you had your French experience already when you started your business. And
yeah. But yeah, that was fun.
Okay. So after you thought of the name, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna and did you decide to start that business here in San Jose or?
No, I was living in LA at the time, and then I actually still wasn't keen on my drawings. I started off making plush. I don't know if you knew this. I made stuffed animals. Yeah.
Like by hand or
whoa. I would sew plush, and I was like, and they were elephants. So like, so that is where it came from. Because I still thought like my artwork is mine, and I don't think anyone is truly interested in it, and it's just like something for me. And then I did like I moved to New York for like 9 months, and like I did my first Renegade craft fair out there. Like I shared a booth with like a bunch of people, and I just decided to make little postcards of a few of my paintings that I had made, and that's what I sold. Like a couple elephants, but I sold like the artwork. And then I noticed that trend. Like I would do another craft fair. I did like Renegade craft fair in LA, and I shared a booth with Victoria, and like it was the artwork that sold. And so it just like clicked. I'm like, oh, this is so much easier because I can make it once and hit prints and have multiple, as opposed to like sewing each thing by hand, and it just took forever, and you can never really like mark up the price even though it took hours to do. So it just made more business sense.
Was it easy for you to find that community in New York, because you were there so like not too long, and then
like all of my friends there were like from California who had just decided to move to New York. So we were all like very, I don't know, like-minded and whatnot. So I don't know how I think about it now. I'm like, how did I meet all those like people? It's
right. I imagine it being hard where like, okay, you move to the city, and then where do you go? Like you just go to the bars or the coffee shops or something. Like how do you
go through like house parties, right? Like,
but how do you know about them? And
I don't know. My friends would throw like parties, and so I would just like meet.
So you already knew that you like some friends over there before you moved?
Yeah, my sister was going to school there, and then at the time actually we weren't very close, but then we got closer as a result of like me being in New York. And then a lot of my friends who were in New York went to USC, and then my best friend from like high school was living in New York, and so I had like a good like group there. Yeah.
And they had been there long.
Yeah.
We're still in the career part. We did talk about like if a little bit, right, that you wouldn't do anything else, because I was like, oh, if you were in still film, would you do that? But you wouldn't do it.
My goal in life is to never update my resume.
So it's like, because sometimes Sean and I ask each other this question, like, oh, what would you do? And so, like sometimes I'm crazy because I'll get into like I'll read articles. I'm like, I want to be an astrophysicist instead of like, but then every time I ask Sean, he's like, no, this is the only thing I want to do. But, so it sounds.
Yeah, I feel like, well, maybe not even like an artist. I forget. I was talking to Kevin about it, and I really love running a business. I feel like even if I was working for someone else as an artist, I wouldn't be as happy. But if I was running a business that did something completely different that wasn't art, I would be happy. So I think I really just love being an entrepreneur, or like running a small business and wearing multiple hats. Like I like thinking of ways, creative ways to make money. Like I think, yeah.
I was thinking, I had this conversation with someone else where having your own business feels like the opportunities and like it's like an endless amount of opportunities to be more. But then if you're working for a company, there's always that like there's like
cap,
that yeah,
right?
yeah. What's the everything has like a not so fun part and like the best part, you know? Well, what are the challenges running your business, and then what's your favorite part about it?
I think I do a lot and it gets overwhelming, and like but I like doing it. I'm bad at asking for help.
You're so good.
No,
because you have your parties or the packing part. That's
so that
amazing.
stuff, but like having a dedicated employee. I have my interns, thanks to you, but like I don't know, like delegating time. I'm better at it now, but like I see like my other friends, and they have like a whole team of like dedicated people, and I just like can't bring my I don't know. I guess like with the high school interns, it's like I know they're gonna graduate and like leave the nest, you know, and I'm okay with that. So because I like to, and you're a good mentor. Like I love the mentoring aspect of it. Like that's why I prefer to have like a high school intern to help me rather than like hire someone who's like older, around our age or something like that. But also like also limits how much work I can actually like delegate to somebody.
I know what you mean. Like a lot of times, the people my age are kind of like somebody who's in an age where they need to have like not need, but like they would be happy having their own careers. I always feel like I'm sorry you're doing, you know, like you're doing this like I feel like with the younger like interns, right, you're kind of contributing to like what they're going to be in the future, but it's harder to like just work for me forever because I'm always thinking about like I'm sure you like me, like you would want to be in charge of something in your life too, and so it's more fun to have interns, but then that takes away from a lifelong not lifelong, but like team
a dedicated
of people.
like a lifer, you know, like I wish, you know, that'd be great to have one like my like right hand person, you know. I guess it's just Kevin or my sister. Like get family to help me. But yeah, oh, the packing parties are great. I guess and then to go back to your question, like the best thing is that I very like early on, not early, in my 20s, like in my 20s, or like when I left Europe or left for Europe after graduation, I met someone who told me that their goal was to visit 30 countries by 30. And I was like, hell yeah,
that's a lot.
I want to do that. And like my trip to Europe was like my first time leaving the US and like getting a passport. So, but I did it in like the 8 years. I visited 31 countries. God. And I knew that like, okay, traveling is really important to me. How do I integrate it into my work? And like, how do I make it part of work and not feel like work at the same time? And it's like the whole like work-life balance, but I feel like I found like a really great lifestyle where I travel for different conventions and shows, and like it's a business expense, but I like still I'm working, but I still love doing the work too. And then when I go on these like trips, like going to Korea, like, you know, I found a way to integrate BTS into my work, you know, like I have like packing parties. I get to like watch a BTS concert with like all these people who love BTS too, and it's work, you know. I've found a way to, it's a sweet deal. Yeah. It's a sweet life that I've created for myself. Yeah, definitely. I'm very proud of it.
All right, so moving on to the future, what are you looking forward
to? Seeing Jen and member of BTS who's coming out of the military. I don't know. I guess I have like my worry of the future is like, how can I still do this? Like, I feel like the world is changing, and like, how do I stay relevant?
Do you think?
Or I don't know, like, because I'm not on like TikTok, and like that, I'm like, should I be? And I kind of worry about like, am I going to still be relevant to like people?
But some of those apps I feel like are more like a come and go. I mean, I could have like an unpopular opinion, but honestly, like I've seen people sign their murals. Even Sean does it with like their the Instagram thing. Yeah. I'm like, I don't do it just because. What if like in the future, like my mural outlives like Instagram, hopefully, like one of them at least, and they're like, oh, that's a weird like thing in front of their name. So I kind of just like, well, I'll sign it like I sign my paintings. Yeah. But maybe I feel like app technology might be like more like easier to go obsolete and new ones come. Yeah. Like it's just like a come and go thing. But art will be like kind of timeless.
That's true. That's a good reminder. I guess just because I think about it from like this is what I do for a living. Like I have to make sure that I like stay relevant, or not even relevant, but like I'm able to still keep doing it. And like what form will it take when I'm like really old, like where I can't like really do shows anymore? How am I gonna like supplement that? So it's scary, but I'm also kind of excited because I enjoy that. Like I like being business savvy and like I don't know, problem solving.
I guess financial. We're gonna go into like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like businessy part. I mean, if you own your own business, it's really hard to. Because I feel like in my 20s, I worked at Nordstrom. I worked retail, and you get like is it like a 401k or something? Yeah. But I'm sure there's a way to do it with your business. Like, as you can see, I don't do it with mine. But have you kind of? I'm sure you have, because you're so organized and good at business stuff. Like planned for like a retirement, or do you put money in stocks? Or,
I have a money market, a SEP IRA, and then like another IRA. Yeah, so I have a retirement fund. I remember like when I had my job at New Line, my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm making so much money. I have like 10,000 in my savings account, and like at the time that was like a lot for me. I mean, like as a 22-year-old, that is like totally all the money in the world. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. And she's like, it's just sitting in your savings. And I'm like, She's like, no. And like opened like a money market fund and like a IRA fund for me. She's like, you're gonna contribute this much money how much can you afford to without like hurting yourself, and how much can you contribute each month? And then when I could afford it finally, because I was doing like my business, like doing all my finances and taxes myself, the moment I could afford it, I got an accountant. Okay. And so they have guided me through all of this, like advised me to change from sole proprietor to S corp, just because of like the finances. And
how long were you just winging it? Like how many years before you got an accountant?
I think 6 years into my business. Yeah.
So that was a while.
Yeah.
So you were on your own for a while.
Yeah.
It's gonna get, this question's a little bit dark, but it's because I'm always here. I think about it with myself too. You touched on it a little bit, but like, how does it end? Like if it was up to you and you were to like put together an ending of this, like retire, like for me, I guess like an example is like mine would be like, I don't know, I'll be like in the middle of nowhere with like a farm and like a complete rake loose with a barn that just where I paint and no one ever sees you or something like that. But yeah. For you.
I think I'd like it to be like I'm old and I'm traveling somewhere and I just like, I don't know, maybe my heart gave out while I was like hiking something. Like I was just doing, I don't know. But I think I would, so my aunt who lives in the Philippines, who I'm close to, and I lived with her when I was living in the Philippines, during the last like 10 years of my Lola's life, she took her traveling. And so my Lola went all over the world in like the last 10 years of her life. And I just love that. So I think I would, yeah, I'd want to be traveling till the end of my days. Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
No.
Okay. I want to ask you questions,
Okay.
and you give me one answer with no explanation.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Well, since we are drinking something that you made,
yes.
What is your drink of choice?
Old fashioned.
I'm like, I was gonna ask for an explanation, and I'm like, nope. Yeah. Digital or I call it analog painting.
Analog.
In bed by what time?
1.
But asleep by?
Oh, I guess in bed by 11, asleep by 1.
What is something you give yourself a hard time about?
My skin.
Yeah. Your karaoke song.
Oh, anything BTS.
When you sit down in front of your TV and you watch and you look for something to watch, what genre do you usually go to?
K-drama.
If there's something else besides art that you could be best at, like the best in the world, what would you be best at?
Foreign languages.
Oh. Yay! Oh my God! I feel like, how long have we known each other? At least when we opened the Arsenal.
Yeah, maybe the Alameda, and I had the.
You came in with like you got like a white pen.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was that?
Oh my God, you remember my purchase?
2013.
You're like, I remember all of my customers' purchases.
Maybe 2012, 2013?
Yeah, I think it was around when I was living in the Bay Area for like a couple years, and then I realized like, oh, I want a studio space. That was a weird thing. Like, oh, I can have like any schedule I want, and then I realized like I was working from home and whatever, and then I realized like, oh, I like having a 9 to 5 schedule. Like, yeah, I like getting dressed and going somewhere and then clocking out at like 5 and then
leaving your work there.
Leaving work there. Yeah,
that's true.
So the moment I could, I got a studio space. Yeah.
So over 10 years, and I found out so much more new stuff about you. That's a great friendship, I guess.
Yeah.
I keep finding out new stuff. Thank you, Genevieve.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Cut. Okay.